to the Sketch Cover Comic Cast.
Geeks out there in the podcasting sphere, this is James Hussey coming to you with the Sketch Cover Comic Cast, and it's where two geeks talk about comics, and I think we're going to have a really good time. And with you, as always, is the other half of the world's finest team, the Batman to my Superman, or the Superman to my Batman, or maybe, considering what we're covering, the Captain America to my Tony Stark. Clay Pauley. Clay, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man? That was an epic intro, bro. That was awesome. I was gonna say Bucky to your Cap, you know. Maybe
I like that.
That might have worked out too. And also, just to jump in there real quick, we want to give a shout out to Eric Nienoltowski. He is an amazing artist with some awesome artwork. Go check his stuff out at ericnienoltowskiart.com. He's got amazing prints, whether it's TMNT. I think he's even got some Overwatch stuff, tons of Marvel, tons of DC. But check out his prints, and if you need a commission, go give him a holler at ericnienoltowski.com.
There's be some links in our show notes. It'll be awesome. Yes. And I do want to say, before we start our first ever, our inaugural edition, our Sketch Cover Comic Cast Phase 1, if you will, we've been planning this for like years. It has nothing to do with a movie that is going to be hitting, that has already hit. This has been on the books for a while. Today, we're going to be talking about Infinity Gauntlet, a little flashback to 1990s.
That's right.
Totally not coincidence at all. It's great.
That's right. There's not like a big movie coming out or anything, bro.
So exactly. Not that we're going to go be seeing it, anytime soon. I know the format we're going to be generally going to is going to start off just kind of talking about, our life as two geeks raising kids. And then we're going to get into the meat of the discussion, our comic thing. And then a little thing we like to call character resurrections. Where we take probably D-list, C-list, pretty much Z-list heroes and villains, and see what we can do to kind of rescue them from the scrappy heap, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
So how are things going with you on the Family Geek front?
They are going really well, man. Like my daughter, Emma, she... I know this isn't quite a geek thing, but it really blesses my heart because she actually just discovered what a laundry basket is, and we've been turning that into a spaceship lately and throwing her around on the well, not throwing her around, but grabbing it and scooting it across the floor, and she's been having a blast. But no, it's going good, man, real good. I'm excited about everything going on at Marvel. I'm loving what CB Cebulski's doing, and I get to share that with my family. Every day they hear about it.
That is awesome. We've been getting geared up for Jimmy's 4th birthday party, and he wants Super Mario party, so we've kind of got that going down. And every day now, we've been playing the Link game. He dresses up like Link, and we go out and go on some kind of quest to stop Ganon or find Triforce. Now, when his Link costume's dirty, he puts on a Superman costume, and I'm Batman. And I think yesterday we got trapped up in his room, and red kryptonite turned us into dogs. So we had to kind of go that route. Yeah. And he knows some of the kryptonite, and he was talking about how he got his costume, created from his baby blankets, and how he could pick up a truck when he was a kid. And I'm like, somebody's been paying attention. So
yeah, that's right.
You're a little geek. So we're trying to raise some geeks. It's awesome. Nothing like it.
That's cool. That's awesome. What's crazy is that I'm just now discovering how many comics I actually have. Like I got for my birthday, I got an app. It helps you chronicle like all your stuff in your inventory, and that's basically what it is. Like you just get to look at on the app. You're seeing all the different variant covers of whatever issues it is, all the different numberings and volumes and whatnot. And oh my gosh, like I'm barely halfway through like my inventory, and like I have like 1,700 comics so far.
That is awesome.
Well, it's awesome, but it's kind of overwhelming. Like I'm like, I haven't read half of these.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a really bad geek, because I go out and like at this point my comics are in like my workout room, and when I'm working, I'm like, oh, there's an essential Spider-Man, with the Hobgoblin. I've not read that yet. I should check that out. And then stupid Comicology will have a sale that's like 99 cents for whatever. And then I buy that and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't read that either. I'm just like a bad geek. I think.
Oh man, it's rough.
There's
too many options.
I know. And then there's dumb stuff. And I don't know if you feel this way. I'm like, oh, I might want to get that because while that's not one of my favorites, Jimmy might like that. And it'd be so cool to have that as, you know.
Yeah, it's cool. I've actually, my daughter, when she, like my older daughter, I have a 15-year-old about to be 16. And then I've also got a 16-month-old. So wait, did I say 16-month or 16? One's about to be 16 years old and one is now 15 months old. Jeez. Anyway, my 15-year-old, she when she started like getting into comics with me and she started to realize like, wow, comics are actually like fantastic. And the characters are just so like just incredibly interesting to read about. She learned about Teen Titans, and the second she started to figure out that like, whoa, Teen Titans are like way legit, I started to really try and find more Teen Titans stuff. Like I gotta find more Beast Boy, I gotta find more Raven and stuff. But like she I don't know, she likes Teen Titans, but she really fell in love with Itty Bitty Titans.
Oh, those are cool.
She thought it was super cute.
We there was one where I think they had Robin went to the bathroom to hide from Starfire for something, and Jimmy can't read. So when we're trying to potty train him, like, see, Robin goes to the potty. So I mean, there's life lessons. It's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, that's good. That's right. That's good.
Well, and speaking of life lessons, I think that's a fantastic segue into Infinity Gauntlet, because I know it taught me a whole lot about my life, and
I gotcha.
So this would be, I've spent, growing up in, 80s, 90s. And I don't know about you, but like Wizard Comic Magazine was always like a big part of my life. Yeah. And they would always have like, top 10 crossover events or top 10, like holy crap moments. Yep. And Infinity Gauntlet was in there all the time. And this was, 90s before you had Comixology, before you had all these trades and essentials. Yep. So like to track down these back issues, you had to have some considerable bank, which as a kid I didn't have. So it, in my mind, it had always built up as like, dude, this is legendary. Like that and Crisis were like the big ones, it's like, oh yeah. So, reading it again, seeing, how the myth stacks up to the reality, it was kind of fun to check that. I don't know if you had that kind of feeling or not. Like,
I agree. I really do agree. And on top of everything you just said, because I would relate to a lot of that, I want to add that this story, again, no coincidence with the movie coming out.
No, of course not.
But this story really held like some personal significance for me. Like, I thought it was just appropriate that we did our first show on it. And again, not because the movie's coming out, but but when I was a kid, I had tons of comics. My grandpa would go to the flea markets. He was one of those hagglers or whatnot, that would wheel and deal with the guys and get a price down real low. And he'd like say, well, how many for 10 comics? How much for 20 comics? And the guy would say, oh, well, this much. He goes, okay, well, you take this much for the whole box. And so it was like some really, it was great to be his grandson growing up, because he'd get these awesome like long boxes for Christmas, and it was awesome, that he got for like $20 or something, that he somehow got the deal. But anyway, there was a season when in my teenage years where I got out of comics, and then I found out that you hadn't read Infinity Gauntlet, and I had just been to the comic shop like the day prior, just to walk in and see, to see how things were going, what was going on in the comic community. But again, I wasn't really in comics. I just kind of dropped in, just for fun to see what was going on. And I remember flipping through the back issues, seeing the entire Infinity Gauntlet series, in single issues, all in great condition. And they were like $1.50, $3 a piece, whatever it was, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the entire series for around that price range. And the next day I heard you never read it. I heard you hadn't read it, and I told my mom, I was like, hey, we got to go back to the comic shop tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Because it's James's birthday in like a week or so, and we have to buy him this whole series. It's like next to nothing. So we went over there, got you a series, and that series, when we gave it to you for your birthday, completely, I'd never even read it. I just gave it the comics to you. Like, it wasn't like I got them out of the bags and then gave it to you.
I mean, a confession time if you want it.
No, I did. I promise I didn't. They were completely. I'm telling you, man. But when I gave you those comics, that just ignited like my passion for comics again. Like I had to get back into comics. And so this series, even though it was elusive and it was, you know, when the original Avengers movie came out and all the books skyrocketed like $100 for the whole set, and you couldn't get your hands on any of them anymore, it was like this unicorn series that I couldn't read or find for a good price that was reasonable for me to purchase. So this was my first experience reading the whole series, and again, not having not seen the movies yet, you know, just going by off of all the hype over the years, and just it was really cool to get to read this from a new reader's point of view.
I totally would agree with that. I mean, like, I know you build it up in your head, and it's like, I don't know, like the Infinity Gauntlet, it gets like this, like, I don't know, mythical status. I mean, they even had like, what was it, the Marvel versus Capcom game? Like they had the Infinity Stones in that. Like it's almost like ubiquitous, and like to actually read, oh, here's the story where this went down. It was pretty cool. Like I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
I want to say, like, right off the bat, the art, top notch. I mean, that's George Perez. He's great.
He's amazing. And Ron Lim to finish it out was good too. It was awesome.
When you do a crossover, you know, like a massive multiplayer, there's a reason you get George Perez, like your Crisis, your Marvel versus DC. No, wait, not Marvel versus Avengers versus JLA. And then, you know, Infinity Gauntlet. So it was great. Oh man,
yeah. And like, there's like a general rule of thumb that I have when reading a comic of how like I'll rate it good, and it's anytime you read a comic book and you never know that you're reading a comic. As in, like, when you're reading it, it's seamless. Like the panels, the dialogue, all just flow really easily. You know, you're going from left to right, or even if it's a full page spread, whatever it is, you know, you never have to go back and stop and look at the panels. It just feels like a flowing movie, I guess you could say. And I found myself constantly just flowing through those books. I think there was maybe like 1 or 2 pages where I had to do a double take to make sure I was reading it right, or I didn't know, like, wait, why is that character behind him? You know, or you know, whatever. But it was great. Like Perez and Lim knocked it out of the park.
One thing too that I'm just like, you know, kind of flipping through right now as we talk, I liked, and I don't know, I saw some things online where some people are like, I'm not a big fan of, but I like how, like, there would be parts where somebody would say, you know, there'd be like the letter boxes, and it'd be like on the front page where it says there is only one word to describe you. It is God. And you see like God in like the big letters and stuff.
Yes.
I like how at the opening of everything, you would see part of the artwork illustrating the words. It reminded me, one of my favorite like comic series was The Spirit. Like I got into it, like with Will Eisner, and how he would like make the splash page of the Spirit's name either be in like newspapers or represented in architecture. And that just was a cool throwback. And I liked that.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, it made it feel real epic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and on that same like note, like I really, like, especially in a lot of modern events, because now it's just a common thing where there's just events on Marvel, DC, whatever. You know, this back then, it seemed like there wasn't as many events, or when they did happen, they were really actually an event. And I, you know, like we said, I think we were talking earlier, and you had mentioned, you know, you hadn't read like a lot of Silver Surfer or cosmic related stories to get the full context of the Infinity Gauntlet. Well, honestly, like I was in the same boat, and when I read the first probably 4 issues, maybe 4 or 5 issues of Infinity Gauntlet, I was really taken aback. Like, wow, this feels so epic that like Thanos, the Mad Titan, number one, somehow like covertly collected all of the stones, and it's over. This story hasn't even begun, and it's over. And that just, I was sucked in immediately because of that fact. And again, just that this, you know, just at least the first 4 or 5 issues just felt so helpless. Like, you know, how do you bring us an end to this? And I can understand how this book has kind of, you know, going back from the 90s has lasted the test of time. I
would 100% agree with that. And especially considering, you know, the fallout from that, it kind of like had repercussions. There's like what, Infinity Crusade, Infinity War, Infinity. And I think one thing that I kind of wish that they would do, because I know you got me, the issues, and then I went in and went to comics colleges just to have it digitally, just in case, like mice or whatever.
Right.
And I kind of wish that, because there is a huge epic feel, like you said, where you come in, it's kind of like you come in the middle, like Thanos has got it. We've already lost. We're playing catch up.
Yep.
I would love for them to be like, include in some of these, favorite, like the issues leading up to it, where he gets these stones. I would like to see that happen, and then go into the Infinity. And I don't know, fans, correct us in the comments, and you like write in or whatever, but tell me, does that happen in like the Silver Surfer issues? Where does this go down? Because I'd like to collect these issues and see that, because I want to feel that epic feel of Thanos grabs it, like what they've done in the Marvel movies. At the end, we've seen the Soul Gem, we've seen the Tesseract, we've seen this. Show me him getting it too, because that would be kind of fun.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Well, I'm just out of curiosity, what was the favorite issue for you?
Oh, let's see. My
out of the
favorite.
6.
I think my favorite was, and I'm going to do like, it's going to be the safe bet, but and you might agree with me here. The Captain America, as long as there's one man to stand against you, it's like the Avengers Last Stand. That part was pretty epic. It's like something that I would play with my toys, like, and I said I would play with my toys, like. Epic, like, and then this guy comes in, and then this guy, and hey, that was cool. The Avengers Last Stand, I love that. It was
really cool. I don't know, because again, I don't know if I'd call that one my favorite, just because like you talked earlier, it was just it was so hard for me to read that issue, because I just can't stand seeing heroes go down, and that was just so hard for me to make it through that issue. I mean, it was good, and most of the heroes really went honorably, I guess you could say. I can't say the same for Nova, but
it's like Legoland.
Yes, that was, I can't imagine being turned to Legos, but anyway, and then stepped on to add. But anyway, it was, I don't know. I thought it might have been the very next issue. Oh no, I'd really have to go with probably the third issue. I really loved when like Warlock and Strange and everyone was bringing the heroes through the portal.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
And I don't know why that I've always just loved that kind of that panel. That seeing them come through the portal individually, it just really felt like they were assembling like this unbeatable team, even though obviously they were fighting a god. Just there was no they couldn't do it, but seeing like the roster build. And like, wow, oh man, that's Spider-Man. Oh man, it's Iron Man. Like, surely they have a chance now. But it just it was nothing. It was over.
You're just like, I don't know. It reminded me, it was where they tried to get the glove from Thanos.
Oh,
there was an episode of Friends, and it was totally off topic, but I think Chandler was watching like the parade at the Super Bowl or something.
Yeah.
And some guy was like from the Tulsa, Oklahoma marching band, and he's twirling a baton and he drops it. And Chandler's like, "You came all the way from Tulsa just to do that?" And I'm thinking, you came all the way to the edge of time just to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, way to bungle that one, dude. Like, just stick the landing.
Oh man. Yeah, it was rough. That was rough.
Now,
go ahead.
Oh no, it's got another thing I liked is, and like in the first, second issue, it's like, oh wow, because of the shockwave, Japan is gone. This is gone. Like everything is gone, and and reading, I don't know. This was like looking at like 1991, I think is when this came out. I was into comics, but it was like, okay, I'm going to buy Fantastic Four. It's just Spider-Man, whatever. I don't know if that was before or after Infinity Gauntlet, when I was started to, get into comics.
Yeah.
Did they, and again, fans, sound off in the comments, tell me I'm wrong, because I would love that. Did, like, in Spider-Man, was he dealing with, like, oh my gosh, Japan's underwater? Like, did they have, like a little Crisis, like in Crisis on Infinite Earths, they would have like the skies have turned red. It would be like randomly, like Swamp Thing. Did they do that like in a random issue of Spider-Man? There's no Japan
the different tie-ins. You mean?
Yeah. Like how did that go? So I would like to see if they followed up on any of that in the because I know, spoiler alert, everything is wiped out at the end. They fix things and it never happened. But did they address it in the issue proper?
Yeah. That was. Those are some crazy events that they did. The one event though that happened through that shockwave that Thanos sent out in like issue 3 or 4, whatever it was. No, it had to be like 2. Was when the shockwave actually pushed the Earth like out of its proper orbit or something, and it was sending the Earth into a back into the ice age.
Yes,
I was like, oh no. Like, yeah, it was that was almost like the straw that broke the camel's back. That was like, yeah, it's done. Like, even if they beat Thanos, they couldn't put the Earth back into orbit. I was like,
it's not like that heavy hitter. Yeah, there was a funny line though, and it just resonated to me as like a North Carolinian, where Wolverine, it's like, it's snowing, and I think it's Wolverine's like, in May, and like, well, in North Carolina, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Golly,
but, like, come on.
Yeah,
Thanos. Like, I curse you, Thanos.
No kidding.
That's why we have to go extra days. Let's go.
That's right.
Now,
go ahead.
Oh, as a fan, did you feel, or just like in reading it, by the time, what is her name? Nebula gets the Infinity Gauntlet, I kind of was feeling like, all right, this again. We just saw this with Thanos. Okay, here we go. I feel like, because now it was like, okay, now let's get the gauntlet from Nebula. Let's try the same thing. I think maybe they could have cut a little bit of that out and still had the epic feel instead of here's this here, but
yeah, I mean, again, I think Jim Starlin did an awesome job. I can't stress enough how like it really was an enjoyable read. But when Nebula kind of became that like, what do you call it, superhero ex machina or whatever,
that's perfect way to say it. Yes,
like it really kind of stole a lot of the feel of. Like a lot of the, I don't know the right term, just a lot of the weight that the story was carrying. It just felt like it was, oh no, like this is how they're doing it. This is how they're going to beat Thanos. Like it didn't quite feel like it was flowing as well. And like I don't know how else to say. I know I can honestly say that I was getting frustrated when I was reading Adam Warlock constantly saying, this is going according to plan, or I was like, dude, you did not plan this.
No, you did yes, this is totally, you're just standing here and you can say, sure, yeah,
it must be this way. I was like, no, like Adam, again, I'm not very familiar with all the cosmic characters, but Adam Warlock, I was like, I'm having trouble believing you right now, buddy.
I think you're just pulling this out of your your soul gem. You're pulling
That's right.
Well, okay. Another thing, the end, how he got the gauntlet off of Nebula. Like he went into the soul gem and like made it like burn her hand really bad, and then like it came off. Couldn't he have done that with Thanos? Because it feels like, again, like you said, like a superhero ex machina, a lot like that. Yeah.
It was the only way if I remember right, it sounded like Warlock justified that by saying that Nebula didn't have the mental grasp or wasn't fully matured enough like Thanos. Like Thanos would have saw it coming before he even thought about doing it or whatever that was. However that works, in the scope of eternity and whatnot, but or knowing everything. But I guess Nebula wasn't looking for him to do that somehow.
And he has that kind of like, what do you call it? Not shining thing going on, but he's got that kind of, he and Thanos can sense each other kind of thing. So probably he would have been on to him. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
that's the one thing I can think of. But I felt like the story ended very abruptly, and it was and the thing that gets me the most about it is that even though the story read really well, like there was almost like a sense of poetic feel to it at certain times. I'm not trying to get too like. Academic, I'm a geek. I like comics, but I'm just saying Starlin wrote it very like the story was very big, so he wrote in a very big way. Like it was, I couldn't stand that the story ended so abruptly, and that in the end, everything honestly didn't matter anymore. Like a lot of the heroes, majority of them don't remember what happened. The few that do, one of them was fake Thor. So, I mean, it wasn't even the real Thor that remembered it. So it was kind of like, well, what does that matter? And the only ones that really had any lasting effect that I'm aware of in fans, like James is saying, comment down below, you know, hit us with a comment and let us inform me.
Oh, well, like, actually.
Yeah, exactly. What really came out of the story other than Adam Warlock got the gauntlet and Thanos kind of found this ironic but temporary peace at the end when he actually became the Mad Titan not much longer after this story. So I didn't really see what the event accomplished, and then it's a lasting event.
Well, and you know, talking about like and something that kind of jumped out at me, just, you know, random. You know how the heroes, you said, you know, they didn't remember whatever. I swear there's a panel where, you know, after Nebula has wished everybody back to normal, like 24 hours, they mention nobody remembering anything. And I swear you see like Thor and some other of the Avengers just kind of like hanging out. But then like later they pop through the portal again and then like they fight Nebula. So like, did I miss something in between there where Doctor Strange comes back and it's like, hey guys, I need you really quick for this thing you don't remember, but come through the portal.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Absolutely.
Now, did you, and this is going to like go the complete opposite direction that you went into, where you're like, and I don't want to get too academic. Did you just want to see somebody just like wail on Thanos, like in the end, like have him get his comeuppance instead of like, now Nebula's got it, and now Adam Warlock's got it, and now Thanos is going to blow himself up? Like, did you just want to like Thor like hit him with a hammer for a little while, and then like
I think so,
like decisively like you are beaten instead of you know like. And this is probably because I've been getting into the WWE Network. You should totally check that out. But
I love that.
I swear it's kind of like Thanos is Hulk Hogan, and you know the heroes are Sting, and they finally built this whole thing up, and it's like Starrcade '97, and instead of Sting getting a clean pin in the ring against the NWO, it's a fast count, and then Hogan almost beats him again, and then Sting wins. And like, wait, no, the title's still up for sale. Like, no, you want to see this cocky Mad Titan like nail, but no, but like I get it, and it was Starlin's story to tell. He'd been, you know, in charge, like he created Warlock, you know, working with Thanos, and so you know,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I was kind of I get why they why Thanos, like at that one point in the story, dumbed down his power to like let the Avengers somehow have a chance, I guess, that was cool to impress Death. And I liked that, but at the same time it was like, oh no, Thanos, that's so stupid. Like, you know, don't give him a chance. You're the evil bad guy. Destroy everyone. So I thought it was kind of, in a way, silly, but I did want to see him get his butt handed to him.
Oh yeah, well, and you know, like dumbing down your powers to impress a girl, like. I do that constantly, like, you know, like, I mean, I know, you know, like, I'm like, oh yeah, honey, I can't do that, and she's totally impressed. Trust me. Struggle with the garbage, and she's like, oh yeah,
that's right, man. You took care of them dishes.
Yeah, like, well, there you go. Yes, but you know, my 100% power. Now, I felt like its epic status was, you know, definitely earned as like a series. My problem, and you touched on it too, fake Thor and Hulk was like, you know, the Professor Hulk, which is cool because that's what he was going through at the time, but they weren't kind of the classic versions. And I was a little bit ticked, and I guess I shouldn't be, but like Fantastic Four were one of the
they were non-existent.
They were, he wiped them all out, and I get it, you know, because I think he had a line where he wiped out his father, you know, and he's like, well, he could be a tricky man. I wanted to, and I'm like, well, okay, I could see you getting rid of the guys that got rid of Galactus. That would make sense. But man, I'd like to see some Reed Richards and Human Torch, and especially Ben Grimm, just see how they could throw down. Considering they're not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe either, I probably shouldn't complain. But I wanted to see him. That would have been fun.
No, I agree. And when we're going to use that kind of as a stepping stone into our next segment, because it is now time. Oh, yes. But I would agree with you. This story has definitely stood the test of time. Got a few minor, you know, things to go. You know, not really happy with a few things, but overall, it's a good read.
And I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen and how they represent that. That'd be
That's
great.
right. And I'm seeing it this Thursday, and I guess you're going to see it not too long after.
Oh yeah, it's got to be very soon. I want to try to live stream that bad boy. I mean, not while I'm in there because you don't want to bootleg this. Not good. But as I come in, I'll be narrating. Here's what kind of popcorn I got. Here's what kind of
There you go.
The Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah,
I gotcha. That sounds good. Okay, so we are starting our next segment, and that is the character resurrection.
Oh, and this is going to be quite a lot of fun. I know, you and I have, shot back and forth, who you want to do. We kind of talked about it. My guy, I picked this time, and Clay's going to pick next time. This time it was our good buddy, the Trapster, old Paste Pot Pete, who debuted in the Human Torches series. And I don't know, his deal is he can shoot glue, basically. I mean, it's just and he's always been portrayed as a joke. I think he debuted in Strange Tales. I don't know, sound off in comments if I'm wrong. And back then he was like a Russian spy, whatever. And he's just always been viewed as a joke. He's been in the Frightful Four. One thing that comes to mind is when they did a Spider-Man Human Torch crossover. I think Slott wrote it. Spider-Man laughed when he heard the guy's real name. He's like, Paste Pot Pete, what? And he's like, I get a new name. My pitch for him is I just kept thinking, I just think the guy might have gone through way too much in the Marvel regular universe, the 616, to even get a resurrection. I mean, so I thought, what if they introduced him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? It could be a great follow-up to, Spider-Man Homecoming, where, because they really had Spider-Man being a straight up hero. There wasn't any J. Jonah Jameson saying, Spider-Man's a menace. He's, a bad guy. Maybe they could introduce that aspect where you've got the Trapster, Paste Pot Pete, masquerading as Spider-Man using some of the Vulture's old technology. And I said, even get the Vulture to bankroll him or, send some letters anonymously or send something from prison to one of his guys. Hey, impersonate Spider-Man, with the rationale being, you took my family from me. You ruined my reputation with them. I'm going to ruin your reputation with this city. And then you could, maybe he wouldn't even be a heavy hitter, but he would be important in okay, Spider-Man's doing this crime wave. Hey, guess who's reporting on it? It's the Daily Bugle. Here's J. Jonah Jameson. And you made a great point. Maybe put him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he would be a great guy to go up against them. So that was kind of my, character resurrection. I was like, well, he's beyond hope in the comics. And I was like, help me, Marvel Cinematic Universe. You're my only hope, right?
I got you, yeah.
But your take was
no.
awesome.
Let's stay on yours for a minute because I agree with you. I think that would really work well. I could really see him, especially in the TV universe that's going on, whether it's Daredevil or Luke Cage or whatnot coming along. I can see that being a viable villain for one of them. For someone like Luke Cage, whose whole shtick is power, and he's unbreakable. Well, what if he can't move? It is kind of this thing if he's honest to God trapped by the glue or whatever. And it's, I think it's a good idea to have someone like him in the TV verse because
how freaking cool. What if instead of, and I'm going to freestyle now. Good. What if same kind of things, framing Spider-Man, whatever. But what if it's some punk kid, like a Flash Thompson type, and he goes all Logan Paul on people, and he's YouTubing it, trapping people. You've got Luke Cage, and it's hey, here's your defender, or Jessica, and he's pulling these really bad, and it makes Spider-Man look like a Logan Paul type Tom Green guy, and his reputation, he's and then Spider-Man tracks him down. I don't know, but he's just
Wait, you have to explain to me who's Logan Paul? I don't know.
Wait, you're lucky. He's this. He was this YouTuber who does. I don't know. I'm old. I've just kind of followed it, but he does some weird. And ask your daughter or Dawn if she says I don't know who it is. Great for her. He does these YouTube prank things, and he went to Japan. And he was like, I'm going to film a video in the suicide forest. And he's like, what? Oh my gosh, there's a dead body. Look, there's somebody dead. And it really was somebody dead. And he's making fun of the dead body. And he goes to Japan and throws stuff at people.
What?
He's just a jerk. And then
that's real?
Yes, it's totally like look him up and like he's like a troll with a video camera. So like maybe something like that.
Oh no, thanks. Oh, that's so Nah, man, someone needs to. He needs to get his comeuppance like Thanos style.
Exactly. Yes.
That's not right. I mean, God. I mean, God bless the guy, but I mean, like, really, that's no.
Like, take him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, where are you? Get this guy.
That's right. That's right. Oh yeah, but I would agree, man. That sounds like a really good story. For my take on the Trapster, I really tried hard to keep it comics because I don't know. That's because I love the cinematic universe and I love comics, but I really feel like there's been such a gap between like the cinematic crowd and then like the comics crowd. So I almost wish, and this is I'm adding something here. This is like a whole new segment. Yes, right. Surprise. It was just I really wish Marvel would, instead of doing so many different titles a month, like so many different series that, again, no offense to Marvel or their characters, some of them are just doomed from the start that really shouldn't even have like the finances to publish because no one's going to read it. And I'm not going to go through like the list because some people might actually like the series, but there are series that I would never buy. But I think that it'd be a much more opportune time because there's so many people who are into the cinematic universe. Will just create a line of comics that are able to bring people into comics using the cinematic universe. Do tons of tie-ins, tons of small stories that don't get told, and it's almost like the Ultimate Universe, how it was a completely different universe in the comics, and it was such a fresh start for so many people. I think it'd be so much fun for both veteran comic readers, but also for the people who love the movies to have all these reboots of characters in the cinematic storyline. If you were going to add that, I'm totally talking off the cuff here, but it's going into why like I love the comics part because I'm a comic fan more than I am the movie fan. Because I don't know that I just like the source material. I think the characters are so much more in depth and fun in the comics. But anyway, I digress entirely.
Hey, I like that though.
So I wish they would do more. I wish that they would just find a home for the people who love the movies. I just saw Avengers Infinity War. Oh, cool. We got this great tie-in to the movie that tells what Bucky was doing during all this time, while he was in Wakanda or whatever. Like it just, there's different stuff I think would be so much fun to tell that wouldn't affect the proper,
I would love to see
616.
Because, hey, check this out. Like if somebody loves Infinity War and they pick up the Infinity Gauntlet that we just read, they'll be like, who's Eric Masterson? Why is he Thor? Why is Hulk talking? And I mean, it's a great story, but there's that barrier. It'd be great to do something like
exactly. Like so on that. So back to the original topic at hand.
Pete.
That's right.
Because I know you guys can't wait to learn more about Pastebot Pete.
That's right. Say Peter Petruski or whatever, real fast. God, it's a rough name, but hey, 60s or 70s, whatever it was. Yeah. Okay, so if I had the opportunity to remaster or resurrect, more appropriately, the Trapster, I think there's two ways you can go with it. I think that's number one. You can create him as a legacy character where he, let's say Paste Pop Pete or whatever, he's in a fight with Luke Cage or one of the street level characters, comes up, with his new weapon, my indestructible glue, and he like somehow mistakenly shoots himself in the face, can't breathe. Wasn't any hero's fault, but he suffocates and dies. So the name Trapster is now fair game for whoever wants to come along and do this. So it could be a legacy title, or you could make it to where he's in prison, whatever. He's still got the name Trapster, but in prison, he just decides, I need to reinvent myself. I've got it. What I've been doing for so long, it's not getting me any cash. I want to make a living as a villain. I've got to do something different. So he's already a professional chemist, or an acclaimed chemist. I think he helped create that stuff that maybe burned Baron Zemo's face, Chemical X or whatever, Adhesive X or something. I forget, but I think he was a part of that. But if I was to fully rewrite him, I think it would be fascinating to create the Trapster or reinvent the Trapster to where he's now like the ultimate setup artist. He's a villain that, whether he's behind the scenes or whether it's a new person on the block, basically orchestrates the setting up and the incrimination of all the heroes, any hero that he wants. and like you and we were talking about this earlier, me and you even incorporated how he could use like the digital age to further that plot. And I think it'd be just a fascinating idea, you know, if whether it's Daredevil, whether it's Spider-Man, you know, they just get put in a position, you know, where, you know, they're seeing a dead body, you know, and the blood's on their hands or whatnot, and the press gets a hold of the picture or whatever. And, you know, now they're a vigilante on the run trying to figure out, you know, how to clear their name. Or if it's like a mainstay Avenger like Captain America or Iron Man, where everyone knows who they are, they can't hide, you know, do they turn themselves in to the law, to the authorities, you know, in this time? I think it'd be just a real interesting story. And even like the characters who are trying to, you know, clear the names of other characters who've been framed, getting framed in the process or something. So I think those would be a pretty interesting way to make the character relevant.
I like that, and especially like, you know, in the age of post-Secret Empire Marvel Universe, where it's like, you know, Cap was revealed to be, you know, Hydra. Maybe people don't trust the heroes quite as much, you know, and he could totally thrive. And then when you said, like, you know, heroes trying to clear other heroes' names, do you remember, and maybe not, there was like a comic series, Damage Control, where it was like this.
I know of it.
Yeah, they like cleaned up after, you know, like superhero battles. Yeah. What if you had like a PR firm that like could tell like their story, you know, and it's like they're trying to combat this stuff, and then Trapster's like the main shadowy bad guy, and you know, behind the scenes, like you can even go like a route like that. I love that. It's got legs.
I'm trying to figure out who would lead the PR team. I'm trying to, maybe Aunt May or maybe Mary Jane. I don't know.
That would be so cool, because like they've got a Howard the Duck series that I'm reading where he's a private eye and Aunt May works at his office.
Really?
Howard would be fun in that too. Like, hey, good idea. Yeah.
That's right. That's awesome. Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I mean, on how to try to resurrect the Trapster character. The only other thought I had, like, or scenario, but I thought it was far too generic and way too easy of a thing to do, is to almost turn him into like the Jigsaw killer in a sense. Like, you know, puts them in positions where they basically annihilate themselves. Again, I don't advocate the Saw films. I don't watch them. I just know of the killer. But basically putting someone in like this death trap of a position, like, you know, and that way
he's truly the Trapster,
right? And I just didn't like that. I didn't feel like it was unique enough.
Yeah, no, and like you could soften it up a little bit, but then he would be like, what was the character that they used to have as a Superman, the Master Jailer, where they hire him to come up with like traps or Arcade. He's just a glorified Arcade.
Oh, you know? Yeah, you're right.
It's like, but I would like to. Yeah, because that one could work too, because he's the Trapster.
Right. So I think that would be cool. I mean, I was trying to think though, like just different scenarios of how in the world, if he, like, let's just say it, like, you know, Pete, you know, was actually still alive, because I think he could do it either way. I was trying to think, well, how would he do it from prison? Like, you know, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think there have to be a contact and someone assisting him, but I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it, but I was just trying to think about like a twist.
Well, and gosh, you can even like, you know, when I thought when you're like, okay, he's dead, he's a legacy character. You remember when they had the auction for Venom suit and like different people like bid on it? And,
no, what was that?
Oh God, it's been a while. It's after Eddie Brock. I think he was dying of cancer. I mean, it's been retconned like so many times, but like he wanted to make some money for something, and he was like, I'm going to sell the symbiote suit to somebody. What? And like it went, but like, what if they have like a place for that? And then, okay, Trapster said, who wants to bid on this? I mean, he's a pretty D-list villain. We'll go at like $1,000. Who wants his stuff? Like the Tinkerer could sell it or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or even go like a Booster Gold guy. You know how like he stole, you know, the Legion flight ring, and he stole this guy's like force field suit. What if you have either a superhero or super villain, and he's got, okay, I've got Trapster's gun, I've got like the Ringer's rings, I've got Captain, you know, like Boomerang, you know, like it's all these D-lister stuff, and he either becomes a villain or a hero using like D-list stuff.
Oh man, you know, that's kind of an interesting thought. I never even thought of what if the Trapster was somehow a hero of some sort. Like, that is really fascinating. Like honest to God, like what if someone, decided to become like a trap master or whatever against all villains. And that would be really fast. Like trying to catch Kraven.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah. And like you can even have like the obligatory Spider-Man guest star, like, hey kid, you're doing it all wrong, or hey kid, you got to use your power. It's responsible. Here's what I do. Yeah,
that's right.
Legs.
That's awesome.
Marvel, you know who to hire, right? I mean, you know how to contact us, Marvel. We're right here.
That's right. Links in the description.
There you go.
We'll put our phone numbers for direct call.
No spam, please, guys.
Oh gosh. Yep. So comment section, listeners, tell us, how on earth would you resurrect the Trapster? How would you make it a relevant character for today? I think it's an awesome topic and a really interesting character, but how would you make them cool? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can't figure that out, sound off in the comments about like your favorite event. Like we covered, Infinity Gauntlet. Tell us like, what was your favorite one? Was it Crisis? Was it Infinity Gauntlet? Was it Secret Wars? Was it like Dark Phoenix Saga? What was your big event?
That's right. So any other thoughts on Infinity Gauntlet or character resurrection?
Shoot, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up, and I may even go into reading Infinity War, I think, next. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And definitely looking forward to watching the film. And what was I going to say? Next week, next time on our podcast, we're going to be covering the Infinity Gauntlet movie. Give our thoughts and our ideas. It'd be great.
Oh yeah. Good idea. Any thoughts on what we might read next?
Oh, let's see if we can get our audience participation. Is there anything you would like us to read next? And if you guys don't come through for us, we're just going to have to pick something.
That's
right. Maybe we could lean toward a DC this time, since we went and covered Marvel. Maybe switch back between the big two. Or I know we were discussing Captain America death, so that might be fun to look at.
Yes, that would be fun either way. So yeah, awesome. Will, any closing thoughts, sir?
I'm just glad to be doing this with you. It's been a great time, and totally is relaxing doing what I love, loving what I do. It's fantastic.
Amen, man. Absolutely. I really have enjoyed this, and I'm excited to do another episode.
That looks great. And until next time, guys, I don't know. I have to come up with something catchy in the closing.
I thought you were going to say "Make Mine Marvel."
I was about to say that, but I was afraid that the lawyers would, don't want to jeopardize that Pace Pop Pete ongoing that I'm really looking forward to writing.
That's right. So. That's right, guys. And also, don't forget, if you guys have any desire there's a commission, there's a sketch cover that you want to have done. Don't forget, check out my friend Eric Nienoltowski. He is a phenomenal artist. He's got amazing talent. Go to his website, ericnienoltowskiart.com. Just Google him. I promise you'll find him. He does amazing prints and sketches. He does Cap, Marvel, DC, Batman, anyone you can think of. He does it, and he does an amazing job. So check him out, ericnienoltowskiart.com.
Nice. And all characters mentioned are they belong to Marvel, and we're not making a dime off this, so yay.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't want to go to jail.
No, not again.
No, not good. Not again. Gosh. I'll have to ask Christina about that one.
To hide my powers. That's how I do it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys, and I guess we'll talk to you guys next time.
Later.